Hello friends and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am serving up a crafty summery cocktail using some of my favorite products from the brand new Pretty Pink Posh June release. Now this video is part of the Pretty Pink Posh June release hop, so make sure to hop along to each of the designers participating for your chance to win a $20 Pretty Pink Posh gift certificate. Your next stop for today's hop is Leah Lawson, so make sure to head on over to her and give her some love after watching this video. Now, to put today's card together, we are going to be using the following new release products. I'm pulling in the Tropical Leaves die set, the Hibiscus Flowers die set, the Layered Hibiscus stencil, the Summer Drink Shaker die set, the Summer Large Shadow die set, the Summer Banner Greetings die set, along with the Summer Blooms clay slices and the Rainbow Sherbet shaker beads. Now, let's get into a little bit of ink blending. I've prepared an A2 size panel of super light pink cardstock, and I'm going to use the first stencil from the Layered Hibiscus stencil set. I'm going to use some mint tape to go ahead and tack that down, and then using an ink blending tool, I am going to take some picked raspberry distress ink and blend it in a sort of splotchy pattern over our stencil. Once I'm happy with the impression, I'm going to get my second stencil into place, putting it down with some more mint tape, and then I am going to pull in a 1+ shader brush so that I can begin blending both the center part of the flowers and also the leaves. So we're going to use some Wild Honey distress ink on the flower centers, and then I'm going to pull in two different colors of green. We're going to start using some Lucky Clover to start getting the base of each of the leaves nicely into place. And I also thought it would be nice to do a little bit of shadow blending too. So I am then going to pull in some Pine Needles distress ink and add it to the portions of the leaves where they touch the flowers. And this is just going to give some really nice shading to those leaves and amp up how our stencil panel is looking. I'm really loving how this is turning out. So we are going to get that third panel into place and do a little bit of more ink blending with distress ink. Using a 1+ shader brush, I'm going to go in first using a little bit of Festive Berries, but I want to give this a little bit of shading, so we're going to play with the color wheel a bit and use some Wilted Violet distress ink to sort of go around each of those flower centers to give it a little bit of shading, but still offering that pink violet sort of feel, and I'm just adoring how this is turning out. Now, using some of the picked raspberry distress oxide ink, I'm going to smush it onto my glass mat, water it down with a little bit of water, and then pick it up using a clean watercolor brush. Then I will begin splattering that picked raspberry oxide over the panel to get some nice splatters going. And I'm really loving how this is looking, but also think that we could use some tarnished brass distress paint for a little extra shimmer and shine. So I'm watering down that distress paint, picking it up with a clean brush, and then I'm going to splatter it onto the panel. And this is going to give just some beautiful gold detail to this already stunning panel. I am loving how this stencil is looking, and it really captures all of those fun details we spent the time on. Now, using the Tropical Leaves and the Hibiscus Flowers die sets, I'm going to do a little bit more ink blending as well. So we're going to pull in that picked raspberry distress ink once again, and I'm actually going to blend the center of each of the flowers because I wanted the center to be a little bit darker than the outside of the petals. Now I'm going to pull in that Wilted Violet distress ink once again to blend around each of the flower centers to sort of play off of the colors that we used when doing our stencil background. Pulling in our Wild Honey distress ink once again, using a shader brush, I am going to add that Wild Honey distress ink to the bottom of each of the flower centers and adhere all of the pieces together. So I will take our 3 flowers and put them off to the side for later assembly. Now with all of our tropical leaves, I'm going to bring in a couple different colors of distress ink. We're going to start using some Lucky Clover on the top row of leaves. Those leaves actually came with the hibiscus flowers die set, but the super lime green leaves and the sort of branchy twigs that we're working with right now, those are from the tropical leaves die set. So we're going to do a little bit of pine needle ink blending, but also using mowed lawn ink as well. I'm going to dab off a little bit of that excess ink from the blending tools and then add it to each of the leaves to give some really nice blends. Now, pulling in that summer drink shaker die set, I am going to start ink blending some of the different portions of our panel and getting our shaker element nicely prepared. Using mustard seed distress oxide ink, we're going to do an ombre sort of tropical drink for the backer piece of our shaker element. So I'm going to do mustard seed on the top portion, and then I'm going to mask a little bit of the bottom of the glass and use picked raspberry distress oxide ink to blend into the mustard seed. Now, of course, using rules of color, we know that the pink and yellow together are going to make a little bit of orange. So I do get a nice ombre from yellow to orange to pink going on, and I just love how this is turning out. Now we have our little tropical drink umbrella. I've die cut it in orange cardstock and I'm blending it with crackling campfire. And then we've got our little lime, and I am going to blend this up with some mowed lawn ink on top of that lime green cardstock that I've selected. After I'm happy with each of these elements, I'm going to splatter our drink with a little bit of water to get some bleach marks going. One of the reasons I love using distress oxide inks is they are water reactive and they give these really fun bleach marks once you activate it with that water. Now I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on the back of our shaker frame element, and then I have a piece of acetate prepared that I'm going to layer directly onto the back of this frame using that little bit of grace period to get it nudged into place, and then also begin assembling each of the other elements for our card. So I'm going to put the rind onto our little line piece. I'm going to put the stick portion onto our tropical umbrella, and I just know all of these elements are going to come together to create the sweetest little beverage. Now I do use 3mm foam strips on the back of our shaker frame piece that we've prepared with acetate, and I'm going to bring in those rainbow sherbet shaker beads to add into our drink. And the trick with these shaker beads, you don't really need too many of them. So I have probably somewhere between 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon of these shaker beads, and then I am able to remove the backing of my tape and put my backing piece for my shaker frame nicely into place, holding all of those shaker beads nice and securely, and then I can begin decorating our panel with our umbrella and our lime. I think this looks so cute. It really looks like a tropical beverage with some little cute fun shaker bead elements for whimsy. Now, bringing in the summer large shadow die, I have die cut the word summer in white cardstock and the summer shadow piece in a green cardstock, and I'm going to use liquid adhesive on the back of our word to adhere it directly to the summer shadow element. I'm going to use my tweezers to sort of help guide these words nicely into place. And then once I'm happy how all of these letters fall, I'm going to just sort of make sure that pressure is applied and begin assembling each of our little leafy pieces. I want to make sure that there's enough detail going on in this card that it really looks like a tropical party fit for a shaker cocktail that we've made. So I'm putting all of our little hibiscus flowers together and combining them with the different tropical leaf dyes that we've prepared as well. So I'm just sort of mapping out where I want everything to go. I decide I want our smallest flower bundle to sort of go onto the bottom left portion of our drink, but then I'm also going to tuck the rest of the tropical floral elements behind it and have the drink lay on top. Wanted to make sure that the frame from the beverage shaker element is still nice and visible, not covered up with a bunch of different die cuts, and I really like how layering all of these hibiscus flowers and tropical leaf dyes together is really setting up this card to make a beautiful background. I also love how our layered hibiscus stencil work is peeping through to really carry out a consistent layer of fabulousness going on with this card. So I have everything nicely adhered together. I have my drink element unit ready to go, but I do add a little bit of extra foam tape to the elements that are sort of overlapping just to give them support when I adhere everything onto the card. I use a little bit of that liquid adhesive on the main body of the beverage and then remove the backing pieces of the foam tape to get that element nicely put together. We're going to put this panel onto an A2 sized card base, so I'm going to get that nicely into place and then use some of the Summer Blooms clay slices as embellishment for this card. Now these are small enough that they're not going to sort of overwhelm the card at all, but they're definitely going to add a really nice detail. And with that, my summer drink card is fully completed. This card is packed with color, and I also off camera added a little bit of a secret inside sentiment. I stamped out sending good vibes from the summer greeting banner die set, and I just love how this sentiment looks inside of our card. Thank you so very much for stopping by my YouTube channel today and hopping along with us for the brand new Pretty Pink Posh June release. I hope that you love this card and this release just as much as I do, and I can't wait to see what you create. Now, remember, this is a hop, so make sure to give all of today's designers so much love for the amazing creations that they're sharing, and in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more crafty inspiration. Thanks again for stopping by, and happy crafting, everyone. Goodbye.